What's going on, guys? Back at it again with another episode, not in the white vans, but in a white shirt with Sean Calhoun here today with TruCapacity Talks. We're going to be diving into a handful of things. Sean is a gym owner out in the wonderful Norristown, Pennsylvania. And he and I have come together through a consulting company that we both have worked with in the past. And I'm very much looking forward to talk all things training, all things your life, your clients, methodology, etc. Sean, how you doing today, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and just jump right in, man. How did you start in health and wellness with coaching, with owning a gym? Like, how the hell did you get here?
So you want the full story summarized?
We got plenty of time, dude. As deep as
Sure.
you want to go.
Sure. I was a three-sport athlete growing up: basketball, football, lacrosse, soccer. Actually, that's four. But anyway, played a lot of sports, right? Um, that led me into playing competitively in high school. And my dream was to play college lacrosse. So senior year of high school comes along. I got hit in practice, believe it or not, with a soccer ball during soccer practice, gave me my first concussion. So that put me out for a couple weeks. Then later on that year, I got another concussion in lacrosse and one in football as well. So they started adding up, and I started to get those symptoms, but I still was able to heal up. I got to my dream of playing college lacrosse, Division II for Chestnut Hill, and then in our preseason of my first year, I started feeling the symptoms of concussions pretty badly. Right, I was scared to hit anybody because I'd see stars, I'd be sensitive to light, all those things. Right, so I made the hard final decision to stop playing sports, ended my college lacrosse career, stopped playing sports altogether, and just let myself focus on school and healing, right? Which I did. But that led me to have my competitive nature flare up. And I was like, what do I do with my body? Right. So I went to the gym, right? I had always worked out, but not really. I'd go to the gym for lacrosse practice and things like that and do what I needed to, but I couldn't even do a deadlift, dude. I was a fish out of water. So I led to that, and I started lifting pretty seriously just for my own personal benefit, right? Like let's take my aggression out, let's take my competitive nature and put it into these weights, put it into the machines, and the results started to come. I mean, I was never overweight, but I lost 15 pounds. You could see the muscle start to come on as well. And friends started asking me for help, like, yo, dude, what are you doing? Can I come lift with you? And it turned into that, where friends were coming with me to the gym, and I was, motivating them and just giving them guidelines as far as this is what we're going to do today. Um, Now, from there, I mean, that went on for a little while. And then I was continuing college. You do your internships. I actually only went to school for business. I didn't go for exercise science. But in the course of college, you keep doing what you're doing, working out pretty well. And then during my internship for college, I was actually at Enterprise Rent a Car, and you know, training clients, but not officially. Like, I had a couple friends who I were working with, and they were like, "Where do you see us? Where do you see yourself with the company?" I said, "Not with you guys, not at all." Um, and actually, my intro into fitness was a buddy of mine I grew up with worked at Orange Theory at the desk, and he was like, "Yo, man, like, we're actually looking for trainers. It might be a good way for you to get into this, field. You just have to go get your certifications, all those basic things." So I said, all right. So dove into getting my certifications over the next couple of months, um, and went full fledged. I dropped Enterprise, went and started working at the desk at Orange Theory, became a trainer there. And as I was doing that, I was coaching personal clients, like one-on-ones at another gym in my free time.
Okay, so your internship, you were still in college at the time when you're
Yeah,
at
it was like
Enterprise?
a paid internship, but you could get credit. So I was like, it's a win-win.
So it was a paid internship that was during semester. Like it was
Um,
it was class credit, or it was in the summer or something.
no, it was class credit. I got 3 credits for it.
Boom. Okay, so you dropped that. You finished that and then just didn't stay with them. Like didn't continue to work there. You just went to Orange Theory and then that other gym.
Yeah, and well, it was like, everybody asks you, what do you want to do with
Mm-hmm.
your life? Like, where do you see yourself? And I knew it was somewhere in business. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to get my business degree, but
Mhm.
After living that style of life, I was like, wow. First of all, I really don't like taking direction from other folks. I like to make my own schedule, and I feel like I have the capabilities to do things on my own. And I really just had that passion for fitness in general. It wasn't necessarily so much helping other people at first. It was more like, wow, this makes me feel good. And my life has drastically changed from transforming my body. So let me just get into it. I feel like a lot of people you talk to that are trainers, they're like, I want to help other people. And I do, don't get me wrong. But at the beginning, it wasn't let me help a million people change their lives. It was like, man, this just feels good and way better than working in a corporate job.
Okay. So you're at Orange Theory. Did you start? I know you said you were working the desk. Did you start training in Orange Theory, like coaching classes and stuff too?
Oh, yeah. So I got in the door by being a sales associate because I hadn't yet passed my test. I was still studying for it. So I was like, let me get a job there first, and that'll allow me to get paid and learn the business while I study. And then once I passed my test, they obviously have you do like an onboarding process where the head coach teaches you the formalities of how Orange Theory runs a class. And then once you're good, then I was on the schedule for about, 2 years.
So 2 years, and you were coaching personal clients somewhere else at the time.
Yeah, so there's a local gym actually up the street from my fitness studio that I own right now,
Mhm.
where they basically let you sublet. So you're a trainer within their building, you pay them like a monthly fee and you can train your clients there. So Orange Theory was for my bills and my lifestyle, and then all the personal training money got stashed away into an account.
Okay. Why not do the personal training right there at Orange Theory?
They don't allow it. It's only group training.
They don't allow anything, like no one-on-ones, no small
No,
group.
zero. So the if have you ever taken a class?
Yeah, I've taken one class. I know the classes are massive, and there's 1,400 pieces of equipment that are used in every single class, and I feel like I'm running around with my head cut off. I've taken one class, and sorry to say, at Orange Theory, I won't be back.
That's quite all right. I don't think I will either. I mean, I enjoyed my time, but the way it works is you have about 12 to 14 treadmills, 12 to 14 rowers, and 12 to 14 floor stations. So for us, I could coach a room of 36 folks at one time for a 1 hour workout. So like you got people running on the treadmills and jumping back and forth between the rowers. You got people on the floor doing exercises over there. So there were scheduled times throughout the day. There was no time or space or really equipment to do one on one in there.
Oh, okay. And about how many classes were you coaching there a day?
A day, it was 3 to 4.
Okay, so 3 to 4 there, and then you had about how many clients over there at that other gym?
About 20. So my day would look like wake up, have my first client at the gym at like 5 a.m., do a couple clients there, shoot over to Orange Theory, coach some classes, work the desk in the middle of the day, and maybe coach a class in the afternoon or finish off with the desk, leave there, go back to the other gym, coach a few clients until like 9 p.m., and then go to sleep and repeat it. I look back at my journal and I was like, recording when I was doing that, I was like, how the hell did I survive?
Yeah. So you were doing that, and that was still while you were in school? Like you were still studying business and doing other stuff, or you had already been out by now?
I had graduated. Yeah, I graduated, and then that's when I started everything.
Okay, so that internship at Enterprise, was that like your last semester?
Yeah, last semester of college.
Got it. And so you just stayed in the same college town, or?
No, I commuted my whole life. I commuted to Chestnut Hill my freshman year. That didn't help with playing a D2 sport. And then when I transferred from there after I stopped playing lacrosse to Westchester University. And based on the fact that none of my close friends live there and I live about 30 minutes from it, I just commuted. I said, let me save some cash and I'll commute to school.
How much of that transient lifestyle do you think has impacted you negatively in your professional life?
Is the fact of me being a commuter.
You being a commuter and the downstream effects of the social implications of not having, a space. If you're in the place that you came from, right, and you're commuting, so like most of your life is here, but then you're doing school there, right? How much
Mhm.
of that, like, not establishing another social group or having high volume of social interactions has impacted you in business?
Um, I could say there's pros and cons. I'd say some of the cons were that it kept me in this safe place where it's like I lived in the same home since the time I was 2 years old. Um, I didn't really it allowed me to not have to open up and make new friends, although I did, but it's like, all right, I just go to class and I go back home, working on my job and things like that. So the social aspect of it was not allowing me to get out of my comfort zone, and be on my own. I never lived on my own until now. So my whole life I was just there. And then there are some pros. I mean, I saved some money. I was able to focus on actually work and building my dream and my business instead of worrying about, hey, let's party and let's stay up late. And but no, I mean, to answer your question, it's definitely hindered that like home nest feeling. You know what I mean? Like you're comfortable. This is your place. You're with your parents. You've known this your whole life, and you never really have to get out of your comfort zone there.
Do you feel like you missed out?
No,
Why?
I, I mean, I basically was at different colleges every weekend. Like when I was younger, I did party my ass off since the time I was a soft freshman in high school till I mean, really a year or two out of college, you have those years where it's just your focus is where are we drinking at tonight? Where are the girls at? You know what I mean? Like that was, I did all that. Um, so I don't really feel like I missed much out of college.
Okay. And I mean, how was the transition from when you're playing D2, right? You realize that like, whoa, this is not it. Concussions are a real deal. I am still having symptoms. Um, how hard of a transition was it from that to where you went next?
So it was pretty tough. You have your brothers, right? Your teammates, and Chestnut Hill, the school I went to, is very small. That's you really only go there if you play a sport. So I quit the lacrosse team, which was hard as hell. And then I'm kind of walking around this campus where you know everybody and you see everybody on a daily basis, and I'm like, whoa, I'm not on the team anymore and I got to get out of here. So that made me transfer. I was like, I can't be at this school and try to focus on my grades when every single person's in their little clique. It's like the soccer team, the girls lacrosse team, the basketball team. And then there felt like it was just me.
Yeah. So you transferred and is that where you met your current girlfriend?
No, that was, I met her 2 years ago. So I'm 28 now. So I had other things going on at college.
Okay, so walk me through you're at Orange Theory. You're at this other gym training your clients. You said you had about 20 at this time, right? You're
Mhm.
graduated, right? So walk me through like the first 9 to 18 weeks post graduation when you're doing both of those. Like how long did it take and what did life look like in that time to build up your client base, to have more personal training clients, to be pulling double duty there back in this new scenario?
So like what my schedule looked like or my mindset towards it all?
Really your mind. Like obviously your schedule was packed, right? You have 4 or 5 a.m., then 7, then 9, then your middle of the day. But like I would like to know more about kind of where your mind was at through all that.
Yeah, so actually backtracking to high school, um, I had pondered with the idea of opening a fitness clothing brand called Calhoun Athletic Company. My last name's Calhoun. Um, and then athletic company, right? And that's our logo right here. I actually drew this in college. It's a backwards C with a frontward C and it creates an A. Most people disguise it as just an A because now our name's Arete. But either way, getting off track. Um, so I always wanted to own a business and I loved the fitness space. So at first I thought it was coaching or apparel. And then when I got into coaching, I was like, wow, people will pay me for my services. So the mindset was Orange Theory is a stepping stone. And I told them that from the get go when they hired me. I said, look, I love you guys. Thank you for taking me on, but I will open a fitness studio franchise for myself one day. And you have to be okay with that. So they knew that eventually I was going to leave. And then my mind was I just put my blinders on and was like, let me get as many clients as I can, build up my revenue from that and my, experience, because you have to learn. And stack that away, stack the lessons away, stack the experience, and stack the money so that when I'm ready, I can pull the trigger on opening a studio.
Yeah. So it sounds like you kind of begun with the end in mind. Is that fair?
100%.
What would you say the biggest lesson that you learned when you were in that kind of head down grinding mode for somebody else?
Working at Orange Theory for someone
Mhm.
else.
Yeah, there and then also working for yourself. But what was the biggest lesson that you took away from that time where your head was down and you're doing so much day in, day out?
I think this applies to everything, but my biggest lesson was that it doesn't matter if you're working for yourself or someone else. If you want to level up in life or eventually go out to yourself, you need to do the best you can at everything. So, like, no bullshit. Like, I mopped those bathrooms like it was like I was getting an award for it. And I went behind the treadmills and vacuumed the dust in my free time. Like, I treated every member with respect and called them by their first name and built the relationship. So I guess the lesson is do what you're doing like at your current moment as absolutely good as you can. That was my biggest thing.
Got it. What was that? How you were from day one over there, or is that something that you developed into?
No, that I mean that's been my mindset my whole life. Like with sports, like I was the best athlete on the team. Like I just always took a high level of I don't know, I take myself very very seriously.
When you say best athlete, what does that mean? Define that term, that
Well,
phrase for me.
it's it's subjective. I mean, I had the best, stats. I was voted best athlete in high school. Like things like that. Like I had that was the captain, the best amount of goals, assist, but I guess it's subjective. And I don't like to live in the past either.
Okay, so you were the best there. Do you think that you were the best trainer of at Orange Theory when you were there?
No.
No, not at all. Why?
Because of my lack of experience. I was new. I had a lot to learn. There were other folks who had been there for a while, so they knew the style of Orange Theory coaching, and they also had more wisdom in the training realm in general. So I soaked that up like a sponge.
Is there anyone in particular that comes to mind when you say, "Hey, this person, when when I was here, this person taught me the most at this Orange Theory"?
Yeah, Paul. His name's Paul.
Paul, and what did Paul teach you?
Um, I don't know, man. To be
What do you mean
to
you don't know? You said
Well,
he's taught you more than
he
anyone.
he taught not that I don't know. It's the way I would phrase it is he taught me to be authentic and give my full self into what I'm doing. When he coached his classes, he didn't hold back, and
Mhm.
he's really he connected with members in the sense where they they were relatable to him because he was sharing his insecurities and his past. And when I did that, man, did I connect with clients personally and in the group setting a lot more.
Was that hard for you to do? Being the best in everything that you had done previously, then coming to a place where you got to be vulnerable and can't tout yourself as the best or necessarily think that you are the best internally because then that'll come out.
No, I don't think so. I think it was more of a driving factor. He brought me on as like I was Anakin Skywalker and he was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I legit like we battled. Like we took class together all the time, and it was like you can see the numbers on the treadmill. Like if he's running at a 10.1, I'm like, all right, I got to be at a 10.2. And it's that simple, but we would battle on those treadmills, and even the members would see us and be like, holy shit, here they go.
And so that is, I would have to assume that's how you got that competitive edge back for you. Like it's not in a contact sport anymore. You got in there. You're learning from someone that you maybe look up to because he's got more experience than you in this thing that you want to do, but you know that you can keep 1-to-1 with him on the physical prowess side. So it was time to kind of kick it into drive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I took fitness as a full-blown sport. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Is it still a sport for you?
See, good question. Not as much as I would love it to be. I've done competitions like races, bodybuilding competitions and things. Right now I'm not training for anything, so it itches at me. I was just watching McGregor's documentary and I was like, I want something to train for. Like I need to put this. I have a healthy body right now. I'm not injured. I'm pretty fit. Like I want to do something with it.
What's it going to take for you to actually lean in and be the best that you can be, though?
In my fitness.
In your health. I mean, a body untested is a body not strong,
Mm,
right? Because if you're in theory land out here, and this is something that I don't know if you've listened to any of the episodes with Savon and I from 80/20, but there's a lot of times that we've come into conversations talking about what theoretically works, right? You see your business mentors and your people out here that are trying to be Alex Hormozy that are never going to be, right? That are like, well,
right.
in this one, obvious exception, this can't work, and you need to do this, and you can only do it this way, and you can only do that. That's great in theory, right? But what about an application? So what I'm asking you is, hey, you sit here before me with a healthy body, with no injuries, with not a reason to train, but how can you claim that you're at peak fitness or pinnacle of fitness without having anything to test yourself?
I mean, that's a good question. And I know for a fact I'm not at peak fitness for sure. I've been at a place where I was more, I don't want to say more in shape because it's relative. I was a better runner when I was at Orange Theory.
Or endurance?
Correct, yeah. My VO2 max was crazy too. But I think it's just it'll come down to scheduling out things like 6 week challenges or signing up for a marathon or those things because I have no interest in playing a high level of sports anymore. It's more so for the self-discipline aspect of it and the like what am I capable of? So I guess to answer it would just be scheduling an activity, even as something as simple as like a Spartan race.
Why does it take an external activity for you to be highly motivated to push yourself to the end?
So I don't think it takes an external activity to be motivated. I think it gives me more direction and the extra edge, if that makes sense. Like I work out every day, no matter what. Like I go for walks, I work out, I do all those things. I eat basically all whole foods. Like I'm operating at a high level. But when you tell me you must do boom, boom, boom throughout the day. Like you need to get a strength session in, and here's our designated program, like with more details of what I'm doing in the training program, not just lifting, right? If it's training for a marathon, I need to run 5 miles today at a certain pace. Like if it's more detailed, that takes me from operating at a good level to like elite status.
Okay. And you just found you've found more recently that you just haven't necessarily found something that has motivated you or given you a North Star to drop into a training plan like that?
Yeah, recently, I mean, the past couple of years, I've done, like I said, I did a physique competition with the next day being the Broad Street Run, which is just a 10-mile race, but um, like things like that where I had to train for and transform my body, and I did that. But other than that, I mean, I'm gonna run a marathon. I think I'm gonna sign up for the one in November, the Philly Marathon. Um, and aside from that, no, there's been no like event or thing to make me want to get after it.
Why haven't you dropped into CrossFit yet?
It's well, there's a stigma, right? There's the conversations that I have with people about CrossFit, and also the other gym that I was at, they do CrossFit there, and it wasn't the CrossFit vibe that I was looking for. There was like 2 to 4 people in a class, and there were some really fit people there, but I just never had any interest in throwing bars around and and doing that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I only ask because I mean, you and I have spoken multiple times about that being a place that would definitely push you, because it's going to take all of your strength in isolation and all of your endurance in isolation and force you to blend the two in the middle of workouts. So not only have to push yourself, you know, with where you can go to end rages with weight on your back, but also do it with an elevated heart rate. And so it's something that I don't think. Look, I don't think CrossFit is the end all be all, the best thing in the world, but I do think that there is something to be said for somebody that can snatch 300 305 pounds, right? Or 275. They can squat snatch and then can also back squat 500 pounds, like with ample rest, but can snatch that in the middle of a competition on top of can run a 5K at a decent clip, sub 20. I think there's something to that, and the physical prowess that comes with you being able to do all those three things. I think it
You're
would be
right.
something that you still should look at some point. You don't have to do it now, right? But I would say that you would be pushed over there, and if you continue to do your strength training outside, it could be very solid for you.
I agree. And perhaps I'll go do a test run at a gym because I mean I'm a shorter guy. People are always like, "Did you wrestle? And are you a gymnast?" Because I have like the physique and the athletic ability for it. And I was like, no, but kind of CrossFit kind of checks off all my boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you would have to do calisthenics, right? You would have to do gymnastics, movements. You would have to get very comfortable on a bar and rings, right? And then you would also have to get very comfortable doing, unilateral and offset load work, right? Single arm, single leg stuff. You would have to get comfortable with it because there's a lot of alternating single arm and alternating single leg. And
Mm-hmm.
I know you can do pistols, right? And on a skill side, if you got some of the skills down, right, got your double unders under control, got your, cycling pistols under control safely, right? Did some knees over toes work. I think it could be very, very solid, even if it was like, dude, I go like 3 times a week and then I just lift outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally just do it zone 2 or zone 3, right? On the heart rate monitor. Just calm, cool, collected, having fun, not trying to go crazy. I think your ass would go crazy in there. And I think that could be good because I don't believe, and nobody else has this context outside of maybe people that are in person with you a whole lot more than I even speak to you. I think that in business, you're pushed. I think that in the gym, you're not so pushed. What you're doing right now, you can do with your eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see you level up by pushing on that direction, especially because you played collegiate sports, right? And self-proclaim the best athlete. Wonderful. I love to hear it.
I shouldn't
Love
even
to hear
say
that. I'll never let that go. And you will hear that out of my mouth more times than you want to.
That's
But you
hilarious.
said it. And so I'm going to repeat it. But I guess I'm curious, if fitness right now, like your health, right, where your maintenance of health, where it's at right now, you're not looking to necessarily jump deeper and push harder, right? Where is your focus right now then?
For fitness and health.
For life, bro.
Oh, my
Where's your
focus is on
focus?
the business, 100%. That's probably why I haven't pushed to get to like a CrossFit gym or like do any competitions because while I obviously take a high priority on my health and my fitness, I feel like I've gotten those to a point of it's just a part of my life. Like my fridge, I can't mess up. Like I could eat whatever and I'm gonna be healthy. And my schedule is already scheduled for workout. So that's kind of on autopilot. But all of my attention and focus right now in this stage of life is getting the system and my business to a place of scalability and just to put me in a place where the system runs itself, right? Scalable and operates by itself.
Do you think that not pushing yourself on that side though has any negative effects on the business side?
Oh, for sure. It's all related. I know for a fact that when I am operating at a higher level with
Mhm.
my fitness and my nutrition, it's gonna bleed into business.
Facts. I think that when I find myself being a lazy ass, right, and I'm like, oh, Chick-fil-A sounds good this morning. Oh, Chick-fil-A sounds good this morning. You have one too many of those days in a row, and next thing you know, your other habits are not going the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I've even got to be wary of, and I know you probably do too. If you take too many votes in the wrong direction, even being in health and wellness, it can go the wrong direction.
Mm-hmm. For
So
sure.
I think that that's a good segue into your gym. Tell me about your gym. Tell me about why you are where you are with a location, right? And talk to me a little bit about your membership.
Sure. So, our fitness studio is called Arete Athletics. The name itself is a Greek word. It means to pursue one's full potential in all areas. And I think that's the ultimate way to become a better person, a better citizen, and contribute to the world is by doing that yourself. We are a small and large group fitness studio. We're in West Narton, Pennsylvania. So it's there's Norristown, that's the general town, and then there's East and West Narton. So we're in West Narton. The reason behind picking that location was number one, I grew up there. My parents' home is 3 minutes from the studio. And that's where all of my clients were, right? So I figured, okay, if I have 20 to 25 clients and they're all in this area, I can't just jump ship and go 20 miles down the road. So I said, I'll open a place where I can do the PT in my own facility. And I basically took a little under a year to basically go in every commercial building there was, do the math, and kind of landed on this one based on the location and the cost of it. So we opened that up. What else do you want to know about the business? How we run? What's
I mean, like methodology that you impart on your members for your training style, like just more of an understanding of kind of what you do and how you do it and why you are where you are. And I mean, we can pull on strings all over the place, but just kind of an overview of everything for your gym in general to start.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, so we do large group training predominantly. We can fit up to 20 people into one session because our studio space is about 2,200 square feet, with not all of that being usable space. There's bathrooms, there's a desk, all that.
How high are ceilings?
Ceilings are 10 feet. So not as high as I would love them, but it's doable, right? You're not cramped in there.
Can you go overhead with a barbell if you're 6 foot?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Just like with little clearance, or?
No, you got a good amount of clearance for something like that. Now, if we're talking about wall balls and we're talking about like performance jumping, you're going to be limited in there because I can almost touch the ceiling by jumping. But so what we do is I call it functional strength training, right? So we're going to do all your standard lifts. We're going to hit your squats, your deadlifts, your carries, your chest press, in a circuit environment. So you'll do something like an AMRAP for 4 minutes, or you'll do it on a timed interval, whether it's, an EMOM, Tabata, stuff like that. But it's all movements where like we do stick to the basics a lot. Now we throw things in there like we have a sled, we use the assault bikes, we use the ski erg and a rower for cardio. We do a lot of work with the gel balls, like ball over the shoulder, ball slams.
Gel balls. That's not a medicine ball, right? That's like a slam ball.
Yeah, like the rubber ones that are filled with sand
that like move slowly. Like when you do like tosses or something with them,
like
you
dead
can kind of
weight.
feel the same. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So not a med ball, not a medicine ball.
Not a medicine ball. TRX straps. We don't use the barbells or the trap bar or the squat racks in the sessions due to space and due to like the trainer. Like if it's one coach with 20 members and we have someone doing a back squat and they're not there yet, that leads us to issues. So we stick to dumbbells, kettlebells, and the other things that I said. The other methodology is the fact that we have general population, right? We don't really have people who are going to college to play sports or top level athletes. We have our typical member is like a 30 to 50-year-old female, probably had a couple kids and wants to lose some belly fat and live life easily, right? We want to get out of bed, no pain. We want to go through life and have no knee pain and grab stuff out of the cupboard. So it's not that we need to track maximal one like rep, all that stuff. We stick to the basics.
Got it. I know you said you don't use barbells for compound movements, but do you do any kind of landmine work inside class at all?
So we have. It hasn't been programmed for a while. I've allowed the landmine movement because I love it. I think it's very effective and it's easy enough for someone to do in a timed interval with minimal exercise experience. So we will do some landmine movement.
Yeah, I love curtsies. I love single leg RDLs, like outside leg down, inside hand on edge of barbell, right? Single
Hmm.
leg RDLs, beautiful landmine, right? You can also do hip thrusts, right, on the landmine on just
Yeah.
one leg, like just a single leg on a bench. Well, I guess that makes sense. So when most of these women, you said like 30 to 50.
Yeah.
So when they're coming in here, what's a typical exercise background that they have? Is it literally like, hey, I've done Orange Theory and what have you? Is that usually what it is?
Yeah, I mean, so a good amount of our clientele will come from other similar studios, like your F45s, your Burn Boot Camp, or Orange Theory, and they're like, Sean, it's just not working.
Mm-hmm.
But they're used to that framework. It's a group environment. It's a smaller. It's not like a million people in a box gym, and you're staring at the equipment like, what am I doing? So they love the guidance of the trainer, the smaller atmosphere of the community. So that's kind of where we pull from, or who attracts to us.
Yeah, I'd be very curious to understand how you landed personally, like with your exercise experience, with your performance experience, with your collegiate athlete experience. Like, how the hell did you land on circuit training for your clients? Because I know you
It's
don't train like that.
no, I mean, so it came down to, I don't want to say I didn't care about the top 1% performer, like college athlete going to Auburn and you know what I mean, hitting the 40-yard dash. I just didn't, well, how can I say this? I didn't really care for that stuff. I didn't want to deal with those people. And there was obviously a heavy draw from me being at Orange Theory, being
Mhm.
around that clientele, being around that style of training that drew to be like, okay, I like Orange Theory's model, but it's not getting the job done with strength training. And then on the other end, we have the CrossFit where I've had a lot of people who I won't blame CrossFit. I'll blame either the coach or the attention to detail where the people complain they got hurt, right? That's not CrossFit's fault. But we get a lot of those people who say, it scares me. I hurt my back. So I need something like this. So it kind of molded in the sense where it's like, okay, there's more people in the general population than there are D1 athletes. So
Mhm.
let's work with them.
Facts. It also sounds like, and please correct me if this doesn't sound like it fits, but it sounds like you're a progression from Orange Theory and a regression from CrossFit.
Absolutely.
Like
A
you're
hundred
somewhere in the
percent.
middle. So like
Like
you
I
literally fit the demographic that goes to both but doesn't love it.
correct. I even had a member, she was younger, fit as hell, start
Mhm.
off with us, stay for 2 years,
Mhm.
and basically dominated everything that we have. But then to her, it was almost the basics. So now she's at a CrossFit gym. And I respected that because I was like, you're young, fit, strong as hell for your size. Like you need that, right? You don't need to keep doing this. But same thing. So yeah, you hit it right on the nail.
Okay, so circuit style, like more, would you say that if you had to break it down by percentage, right?
Hmm.
Tabata to EMOM to AMRAP, and just a quick before you give that, right? Tabata is work rest, it's interval style training back and forth. And I know you know this, but for anyone that's listening that doesn't, EMOM is every minute on the minute, or it's like a certain amount of reps on a certain time interval, rest the remainder, and then restart. And then an AMRAP is as many reps as possible in a given time interval. So like of those three, if you had to break down your classes, your programming, just on a general basis, right? How does it split between those? And if I miss one, you can just
Yeah.
fill it in.
Yeah, so I mean, thanks for sharing the audience what those breakdowns are because I say those words every day and I forget some people don't understand. But either way, I'll just tell you how our schedule works. So we have a couple styles of sessions. We do
Mm-hmm.
a straight up strength day where you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get 8 stations with 8 different movements or 4 supersets, and you're going to get 4 to 6 minutes of an AMRAP to complete the movement. So for example, station one, we're doing goblet squats and we're doing RDLs, right? 5 to 8 reps of each. You get 6 minutes. You probably get about 4 to 8 rounds in, or 4 to 5 rounds in. So that would be the stations throughout the room where it's just a 6 minute AMRAP, more like you're working out with your buddy at the gym, but in a group environment. We try to bring that aspect to it. And we also try to encompass personal training, but in a group, because then the personal trainer can be with them and pop into each circuit and superset or movement and really dive into some detail. But that's like a strength day. Then we call it circuit fusion, where it just is similar movements, but on a timed interval. So today was 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, and we would do 6 rounds. So you might still do a shoulder press. You might still do a goblet squat, but instead of me telling you to do 8 reps, your goal is to do full range of motion, tempo for the entire 40 seconds. So your approach is a little more cardio based. And then those are like our main like ways that we split the classes. And I actually do one that I call Hustle and Flow. That's our Saturday class. And we started off like this and haven't changed it. It's 45 minutes, but the first 20 minutes is like hit work. Like we'll do Tabata, we'll do EMOM. And then the other 25 minutes is mobility work. So not yoga, but like actually taking time to stretch. Like we get the mats out, turn on the music that's more chill, take our shoes off, and like force people to hold certain movements and stretches for longer than 3 seconds. Because regularly you get done a 45-minute session and you're like, all right, hold your arm like this, quick quad stretch just to get the announcements out. But this is actually like some mobility work.
Do you do any traction or band distraction work in that mobility?
Sometimes we'll bring out some equipment. Most of it's with body work, body weight, and some like yoga poses, like yin yoga positions.
Yeah, so like 3 to 6 minute holds.
Yeah.
Okay, longer holds. Yeah, everyone needs to stretch more, right? And everyone needs to also work full range of motion, right? In my professional opinion, people disagree. Joel Seedman disagrees. He's Mr. 90 or nothing kind of guy, and that is what it is. Everyone's got different strokes, whatever. But for me, I think that it's helped me most, and probably you could say the same. Like if you're not stretching, you're not going to be able to bang out back squats at 225 with your heels elevated and feel good after. Right, you're not going to be able to do bench press and not have your shoulders be all wonky after, right? You don't do what you need to do. We say that's fair?
100%. I even think, and we prioritize this with training, is full range of motion and tempo. You get people in the gym when you go to the box gym and they're just doing 100-pound dumbbells, like these little mini reps. And I'm like, that's your ego talking, dude. Like do a 3 to 4 second eccentric rep and go all the way down through your full range of motion, use all your muscles, and you're going to be able to stretch your muscles while you're strengthening them and bulletproof your body. So to me, it's not about, can I put up 100-pound dumbbells? It's, hey, does my body feel like awesome all the time?
Yeah, and if we're talking longevity and not just like, hey, I need to crank this because I have a competition, then we're talking about going to end ranges, right? And also making sure that we're limber, right? So if we take a tumble, take a fall, sober or otherwise, you don't just snap something off, right? Or
Right.
you reach up and you reach up to grab something out of a cabinet, you slip, you fall on your shoulder. Like ain't nobody trying to tear things, right?
Right.
The tighter you are, though, the easier it is for that to happen.
Yeah. And like I said, our clientele, they're dealing with knee pain, lower back pain. They're dealing with things like that where it's like, oh man, I didn't realize as I've been working out, my knee pain's gone away. And I've been able to do these things in my regular day life that don't cause me pain anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens.
Do you do any kind of bulletproofing sessions with your members outside of the Saturday, like back 25 minutes of that class?
We don't. And I've been contemplating that with some of our coaches, where it would be like more of not like a bulletproof class, but like a beginner's class where we're going over the basic movement patterns, doing assessments and working on getting people to a full range of motion.
Yeah. I think that you're familiar with Ben Patrick and the ATG protocol.
Hell
That is
yeah.
something that with my clients, right, knees over toes guy,
Mm-hmm.
that has been wonderful, right? Wonderful, like 5 to 10 minutes a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just breaking off small bite-sized pieces of bulletproof in the knees, right? The back, right? Your spine, QLs,
Mm-hmm.
scap, shoulders, like breaking it down into small bite-sized pieces that they can understand without speaking jargon or speaking medical science, right? Like out
Yeah.
here giving you the iliopsoas is, like ain't nobody trying to talk like that, right? Your hip flexors. Okay, your hip flexors are too tight. How do we get those not tight, right? Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I would be curious to see what would happen and how much higher frequency your members would come to you and say that they feel pain free if you
Hmm.
did do that.
That's a good point. And I probably should incorporate it because during COVID, I lived and breathed, knees over toes.
Mhm.
Like I trained that way myself every day. I did their program. Like just because, like you said, everyone's got their own viewpoint on the body and fitness or whatever. It just felt right for me. I was like, okay, what he's saying makes sense. And as I do it, like he'd show examples of like Derek Jeter getting a ground ball. I'm like, yeah, our body moves this way. So why are we forcing it not to? And as I started training and doing like Jefferson curls and things like that, I
Beautiful.
was like, first
Love
of
them
all,
things.
the Jefferson curl is the best stretch slash alignment. Oh my God. Every day I was doing them. So what I'm trying to say is I did it for myself. It works. It feels good. So I feel like it can't harm you is all.
Yeah. I mean, I think, as long as you plug in the right tool for the right job, right? Not every tool fits every job. You don't use a hammer to hit in screws. Sometimes you don't even need a screw. And I think that as coaches, we could probably all be better about doing that. Not like absolute statements. No sugar,
Dude,
only protein.
here's another thing is, and I did this at first. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I would coach my clients as if they were me, right? I'd be giving them advice or things to do as if it was me and it wasn't clicking as fast. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this works for me all the time. And you got to realize I am not a 55-year-old woman who's going through menopause and had 3 kids. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
like you said, you don't always need a screw.
for sure. For sure. What would you say is the biggest result that you give clients across the board?
Accountability. The feeling that they are on the right track and they can map out where they're going to, right? Like obviously physical results come through weight loss and inches going down and higher energy. I hear this stuff all day. Sean had a woman this morning tell me she just got approved to get her kidney surgery for her husband. Like that was monumental. But what keeps people coming, and I think the best results we can give them is the plan and is the community of accountability that they have to fall back on.
Yeah. And I like the way that you reframe that. I'm curious, though, what is the typical outcome from you providing that result of accountability for them?
Like a physical result,
Mhm.
I think I mean, you probably about 8 to 10 pounds. A big thing is inches. I've seen 5 inches off the stomach. I've seen closer to 10 and off the whole entire midsection up to 25 inches. So I think the accountability of me and the other coaches dialing in the the priority of whole foods and things like that, like the basics, like eat whole foods, drink water, get your movement in, right? Simplifying it in a way that they feel comfortable and it's coming from a source that they trust allows them to buy into it. And then I guess not, maybe not second guess it, right? It's like, okay, I see these people doing it. They're getting the accountability from the same people as well as the other folks who have done this same transformation. So let me just do it. I think that's what comes down to like the buy-in.
Do you have any result that you can tie, like any emotional result that you can tie that kind of body change to that people are typically sharing with you that y'all bring to clients?
Like afterwards, like I transformed my body and now that caused me to do
Mhm.
something other than lose weight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the feeling. What's the emotion at the end? That's
So
typical.
there's more belief. There's obviously confidence is a big thing, but more than confidence, it's belief in themselves to do other things. And I talk about this at the front end when I sit down with people, but not too much because I don't want to overcoach.
Mhm.
But it's like, hey, when I got done this, I went and am studying for my NASM certification to become a trainer, and I am now in a relationship that is stable and not with insecurity and negative things. So it's the conversations I have with people that come back and tell me, "Hey, Sean, I went for the promotion. I dumped that boyfriend that was causing me all this problem." So it's like it's the belief in themselves.
Would you say that that's the biggest limiting belief that they have coming in on the front end, or is that something they don't realize that they have until they get in here?
The belief of being able to do it or in themselves.
Belief in self.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I do hundreds and hundreds of consultations with folks coming in, and when you hear it in people's voice, the lack of belief in oneself because they've never done anything challenging or out of norm, it's almost non-existent. Like it's like they're just kind of coasting by, and it's frustrating for me to see because I see the potential and I see what they can make out of their experience that they're telling me they're currently in, and how they can turn that around. But yeah, it's really low or non-existent in a lot of folks.
Is that predominantly just women, or is that men and women?
Everything, everybody. Oh my gosh, men, women doesn't matter. I've heard some men open up even more than women, maybe because I'm a guy. But they tell me some stuff that they were like, I didn't even tell this to my wife, dude. Like some pretty deep stuff.
And when people are on this journey, or people are coming in on the front end and they lack belief, right? They lack the understanding of what it's going to take to actually get there because they've never committed to actually getting there. I mean, what is one belief that if anyone that was going to be coming in for a consult with you or anybody else, that you one thing that you would want them to know from your experience having so many consultations? What is the one thing that you would want anyone to know prior to coming to a consultation with a coach, to actually take action?
That it's probably more simple than you think, right? I
Mm.
think there's a lot of people on social media and in the world right now that overcomplicate uh the successes in life, whether it's your fitness journey or a business or finances or relationships,
Mhm.
and they create all these modalities and these things that you have to do to get there. Whereas if we just simplified the whole process and did three things every day consistently, it's guaranteed. So I try to simplify the whole thing.
What are those three things?
For a new client coming in, it's their protein, it's their daily movement, and it's their water. So I've, and again, there's different people that you approach based on how much you think they can get for coaching. But if you're dealing with someone who's very, insecure about the process, instead of telling them take away cheese and take away sugar and take away all these things, I rephrase it as we're going to add things to your. I don't care if you do anything else. I want you to add a certain amount of protein based on their current weight and goal. I want you to add a certain amount of water. It's typically like a half a gallon to a gallon a day. And I want you to add a certain amount of steps. And I got these from you too, man. Like I appreciate it, but learning from you, learning from other folks, it's like these simple things on a daily basis, though. It can't just be twice a week. It's a daily thing. Um, will get you the results. The reasoning behind the first two is if you eat enough protein and drink enough water, you're not really going to be hungry for the excess bullshit. So it's like we're gonna get what we need through this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wouldn't have put water in the three things. I really wouldn't have. I appreciate the perspective there. I would have probably said protein, right, steps, and then strength training, right, because overall body composition change over the long run and maintenance of fat loss, as you know, comes down to strength training, resistance training, whatever you want to call it. Water, that's an interesting one with a bigger emphasis. Yeah, that's something to think about. I appreciate you
And
sharing that.
yeah, and I mean, and that's these are more so the at homes, right? Like the people come in knowing that they're going to train at our studio. So, like, yeah, we talk about them coming in 3 times a week. And I would hope that that is like a prerequisite. Like, they're like cool for it. But I'm like, if you do nothing else, at least do these three things at home. every single day.
Got it. That's an important distinction. Hey, that's not it. But the things when you're not with us, if you do nothing else, if you jack up everything, protein goal, water, steps,
Yep.
all three.
Yep.
What do you think is the like going away from clients and back to just industry? There's a lot of bullshit out in the industry. What do you think is the biggest fitness myth?
Biggest one.
Yeah. Or the one that pisses you off the most. Not even the biggest. Like forget gravity because there's a lot that frustrate me. But what would you say the one that grinds your gears the most?
I don't know about a myth, but something that came to my mind right away are just the people who do the fake workouts. I think you get folks, you get females
What
with big,
before you go in there? What do you mean by fake workouts?
so that they are doing workouts that didn't lead to them looking the way that they do, but they post about it and act as if that's what happened anyway. So for example, a girl with a fat ass puts on a set of mini bands, does some side lateral walks and some squats and says, "Ladies, buy my $100 booty program. It'll make you look like me." Genetics, right? Of course, hard work comes into play, but a lot of times genetics. Or the dude who's got 8-pack Jesus abs and he's doing bicycle crunches and he's pointing to his abs like this. Six workouts for 6-pack abs. Like, please go somewhere with that. Like, it's all over. And I get girls my age or even older coming in. I saw this video on TikTok. I think we should try this in here. And I'm like, no, not a chance.
Where do you that's really funny. It's funny because the dump truck behinds that need a damn backup camera to walk around are usually a combination of a couple things, right? One being genetics, right? Predisposition to holding more fat in that area as well, right? But number two, a lot of these girls, if they didn't get a BBL, they've also been lifting weights, right? They've been intentionally hip thrusting, and mind you, they're hip thrusting more than you and I are, right? And they're putting on, yeah, literally 300 to 400 pounds on the bar, weighing 140.
Right.
Bruh. If you have that plus genetics, or you have genetics plus a BBL, or you just have a BBL, like you're setting unrealistic expectations. I think that another thing here that the guy grinds my gears is not only the people that got to where they're at via a different method or a different means and then try to promote something else. And I think that goes back to a conversation I had with Nick Flamini about unethical marketing, right? It's a bait and switch, and it's horrible and destroys trust, and it is a cash grab, and there's no one checking anyone on it.
Nope.
There's no one checking anyone on it. It is just running rampant through the interwebs, right, and social media. I think the other part there is outside of just that, it's like, the videos that you see where people are like putting cordyceps and they're putting cordyceps and honey and salt all in one, and like, this is the concoction to go ahead and blast the belly fat today.
Dude.
Like, hilarious.
Dude, I get text messages. What's your thoughts on L-theanine and all this other stuff? I'm like, stay off TikTok. That's all I say.
Yeah, I think that there's a big benefit to supplementing, right? Supplemental, like at the root, that is on top of, right? That is not substitute. They are not the same words, guys and gals. I think there's big benefit to adding supplementation once you have all the basics figured out. I think it's wonderful, and I support it. And I know you and I both like Prestige Labs, and that's where I will give my business. Period. End of story. But it's not going to get you the results by itself. And it's sure as hell not going to help you to the level that it could if you don't do the basics. If you don't sleep, if you don't eat your food, if you don't hit your protein goals, if you don't try to work out, there's no silver bullet, dude.
I
wish there was.
I think that's a great point. I've had people come to me and we're like, dude, I just got these new Nikes. They can track all these metrics on my app, and I have this moisture wicking shirt, and this dude's like 300 pounds. And I'm like, bro, just go for a run. I don't care if you got boots on, like, just get the hell out there. Or people coming to me saying, well, what's this supplement doing? What's that doing? The fat burner. And yeah, they work, but not if you don't work. Like, it's supposed to add on to already your consistency and your progress. And maybe you've got a deficiency, or maybe you're like, hey, I'm busy, I can't get enough protein. Give me a protein shake. But like, why do we want to why does our mind go to how can I buy the trick, right? How can I buy the fast pass and this unlock to the goal that I'm trying to get to? I think it's just a scarcity of hard work and the the want to have it now, like the lack of, I don't know, people don't have patience, right? People don't have aggressive patience, and it's
Yeah.
harming our whole society.
Well, I think also people try to apply the frame like, you want to get in the HOV lane, you want to get in the Peach Pass lane, you can buy a ticket for that. You want to get in the Fast Pass lane at Six Flags, you can buy a ticket for that. You want to get lipo, you can buy a ticket to that, right? You want to get gastric bypass, you can buy a ticket to that. You want to have Vaser, right, which is your skin retightening or any of that kind of stuff, you can buy a ticket to that. So like you can get the results by just trading your time for it with zero work. And I think that
Hmm.
that is why everything, like, it's the next shiny object, or as a lot of people would say, it's a woman in the red dress, right? You're like, ooh, do lead nurture all day, every day to try to change more lives? Make AI do it for me and spend $5,000? $5,000. Let's go, baby. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's do it so I don't have to go through the discomfort of doing it. And I think that, in what we're talking about here with clients in person and remote, we are conditioned by everything else in our life to want everything now with this much work, right? Yesterday.
Because it looks like you can from social media. There's folks who either grinded their dick off, pardon my language, for years, and then it seems like they're an overnight success, or there's people fronting on the object, and you're just seeing that what they displayed on Instagram, and you're like, well, why can't I have that? Like, I need to know what it is, and then you get antsy. You're like, well, it's been 6 months. Like, where's my Lambo?
Yeah. Or someone like V Shred, right? Vince out here. And a bunch of other people that I don't even know all the names of off the top of my head. I think someone that, like, if anyone's listening to this, that they could follow is Jordan Syatt, right? Syatt Fitness is no bullshit, 100% there, not going to sell you any bullshit at all, period, end of story, ever, right? I would say Contreras is the same way, right? Even in my opinion, even Lane Norton kind of flirts with the line there, buddy. I know that he's a PhD, still flirts with the line. Any inspiration sources that are no nonsense that someone could follow and get actual actionable advice in health, right? In either nutrition or fitness or mindset that you follow?
Are you asking me
Yeah.
who I?
That you would recommend other people follow, not someone that's, Goggins is not the guy for everybody, right?
Right, right. If you want, I mean, Dr. Pat Davidson's pretty good with straight up like scientific stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I stick to, I follow a lot of people who are more so entrepreneurial and not just fitness, right? Like, um, you got Bedros Koulian, the owner of Fit Body Boot Camp. He puts out a lot of good stuff. Um, Ed Milet, Andy Frisella. These are the guys that I follow, but they talk more so about like personal development and business, not strictly like the science behind exercise. Um, yeah, I mean, not too many like off the top of my head. I follow Ryan Fisher is pretty good. He owns Chalk Performance Training. He puts out stuff in a very like straight and to the point, and he's very direct, which is what I like about him. Like, he's not sugarcoating anything, he just tells you how it is, and he almost has like a comedic aspect, so he's another good one.
He kind of pokes fun at people, though. Like anyone that believes a belief that he's breaking, he kind of pokes fun at them. I think it's hilarious,
Yeah, I do too.
right? I think it's really hilarious, but I'm also not triggered by anything that he's saying. And I can
Right.
imagine that if I was in a group that was triggered by what he was saying, like maybe I'd have a problem with it, but I think it's hilarious. Sometimes
Yeah.
he's even talking about me and I'm like, haha, that's funny. That is me,
but
100%.
but here's the way I see it. Like, if it is triggering you, maybe it's the time to change. Like, maybe
Yeah.
like that's an insecurity you have.
Yeah. It's very funny sometimes when all the people that you've mentioned post things and I'm like, oh, that's me sometimes. It's more of a laugh than it is like a, oh man, I can't believe you said that, you know?
Hmm.
So it's kind of interesting to me there. As far as your gym, right? Where's next for you? What's North Star? Where are you going? What's your mission? What are you trying to do from here? Right? You have a core base of members that enjoy your classes that come 3 to 5 times a week. You got people that are rocking and rolling with supplements. You got people that are rocking and rolling with accountability, rocking and rolling with nutrition, losing inches, losing pounds. Like, what is next for you at that facility?
Yeah, so it's maximizing the potential of everything. So the systems are in place, right? To acquire customers, to nurture them, to get them results. They're in place. It's about maximizing that, which would mean probably around 200 to 250 members. And then North Star is making that system so scalable. And I know like people have done this before, F45s, there's other big boutique gyms, but getting to have studios all around the country. Like having a system that's so simplified but so profitable that as soon as you throw the touch of a little bit of community and a little bit of your personal experience in there, then it's scalable.
So franchising is the model at the end of the day for you?
It is. It is right now. And I'll be honest, I don't want to be one of those guys where it's like, this is the only thing that I'm ever gonna do. And there's like, yes, like this is my only plan right now, but who knows down the road, you might get to a couple locations and understand that you're at a different season of your life. So helping people means coaching in a different way than a fitness studio. But at the moment, it's scaling to be franchised.
Where do you think you have deficits in your character that would stop you from doing that today if you had the ability to franchise?
It's a good question. Man, you're making me look deep here. There's deficits in my character in the form of I put people before myself, and that stops me from creating a serious level of self-discipline. Because I know that self-discipline is necessary, and the level at which you take it can directly correlate to how fast you grow. So I will allow the opinions of others and things like that to maybe deter me. Like, for example, right? Like I've done 75 hard before. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I know what 75 hard is.
Right. And I'm not saying that that's the end all be all to success, but I know it works for me because I've got my daily list of shit that I have to do. It makes me feel like a badass. I'm going to do it again. But like, because of people saying, oh, do you really need to do that? Well, no, but I've allowed people to, I don't know. Yeah, I've allowed people to let me stop from my savage mode. And that's all on me, obviously. It's not their fault. But yeah.
Sounds like you let people around you negotiate your goals for you.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you think that your inner circle, your close knit peeps, romantically, familially, platonically, do you think that they support the vision that you have?
Yes. So definitely my girlfriend. She 100% is on board and she works her butt off to do the things with me. Um, that's a good question because I know it's very important to have that close circle. But when it comes to my family, like they're blue collar, like I even talked to my dad and he was like, how's business? Like, I'm a worried father. And, he tried to tell me, I shouldn't hire other coaches because I should be doing it. And like when you and I know that I should hire them, that's not a high return on my investment. So I guess it's the mindset of my family and my friends that I grew up with that are are not entrepreneurial, even though they might think they are, and they've never done what I'm trying to do. So um, that's a big focus of mine, dude, is being around people that number one have done the things that I'm trying to do and can show me tangibly. And number two, just have the mindset for it.
There's people that are around you that don't have that entrepreneurial spirit. Do you go to them for advice on business?
No,
So it's
no.
unsolicited advice?
Yeah, I will. I'll have conversations. I'll share my concerns or maybe just, catch up, whether it's my family or someone, but I legit, like, I take it like a grain of salt. I got mad the other day, but I was like, why would I even get mad? Like, it's not his fault to say that because, like, that's all he knows, right? But
Yeah.
I for sure know I'm not, no advice is being taken.
Yeah. It's, I mean, there's an old adage that people give advice from their own frame. They give advice to themselves when they speak to you, right? It's not necessarily always, unless it's someone that's been to the place that you're trying to go previously and is at a higher place. I mean, I've had to do the same thing. You know, I love my family, and if any of them are listening, probably not because they don't listen to these. But if they are, I love them to death, right? And I would take a bullet for them.
Mm-hmm.
However, right, here's the caveat: I'm not going to ask a single one of them for business advice. I'm not going to ask a single one of them what my next move is, or a single one of them how I should set up my day for most productivity, because they trade dollars for hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hours for dollars every
Mm-hmm.
day. And they're fine with doing that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that if that's what you want. I don't think there's a damn thing wrong with it. But I do think it is interesting, and I've had to set more boundaries similar to how you're talking about making sure that my opinion, right, of myself and what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and the ethics behind it reigns supreme over the combination of everybody else. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something that Ed Milet has talked about previously. This is something that Hormozy has talked about previously. This is something that probably all the rest of the people that you named earlier have talked about in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, you have to have an unbreakable spirit, right? And have a mission and stay on the path no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, people will be like, what can I do for you, Sean? Like family, friends, or whatever. I would say, like, you can support me, but if not, I don't care either way. Like, you're not going to
Yeah.
hurt my feelings. Like, no one in my family is a member at my gym. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And they live in
Um,
the same city, dude. They
oh
live down the
yeah,
road.
3 minutes away. No one's a member. Does that hurt my feelings? No, at first it did. I was like, oh, you're gonna build a business. All your family and close friends are gonna buy everything that you have. When really what happens is they ask you for a discount. But either way, um, yeah, it's like you said, it's like it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or says to you, as long as you have this like no bullshit, like this is what I'm doing, and I have thorough belief in myself. That's all that matters.
Beautiful, beautiful. Dude, anything I want to respect your time, man. I know you're busy, you got to get back to it, but anything that you want to leave the people with, or that you want to say to anyone listening before we get out?
Yeah, I mean, going back to our conversation about Instagram, I would definitely say like the biggest thing to point out is learn from those who are doing exactly what you want to do, right? Like they have to have the results. That's going to get you to where you want to get to the fastest because they've probably been down the road and made the mistakes. And then number two is carve your own path. I've talked about this a lot, but and we didn't really touch on it, but you get these people like Hormozy, like Ed Milet, who have achieved great success, and you want to model that, but it might not be the way you need to do it, right? If they have a morning routine that might seem great, but it doesn't work for your lifestyle, we'll figure out what does. So model those who have what you want, but do it in your way that's going to be able to, compound in your own, because you're your own person, right? You're not them.
Yeah. So almost take after them, and the insistence and the persistence to finding a path that you can wholeheartedly commit to, single-minded focus, and push down that and look to them for inspiration, but don't look to them for mimicking.
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%. I've tried to mimic people, and you catch on to
Mm-hmm.
certain habits and rituals that serve you, but overall you'll drive yourself crazy because I'm not Alex Hormozy. Never want to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. No, that's facts. Y'all are also different heights and different weights and have different bank accounts currently, you know?
Correct.
So
Very correct.
yeah. Well, cool, man. Where can the people find you? Where can they find your gym? Where can they learn more about you? Where can they see your halfway decent face more online if they want to connect?
Yeah, so for all things business, it's Arete Athletics Official. That's
Yeah,
on
spell that out
Facebook.
for me.
Arete
Cool.
Athletics
Mm-hmm.
Official. That's on Facebook and Instagram. That's where we predominantly are. My personal page is Sean Calhoun _ That's on Instagram and on Facebook. That's where you'll find me most of the times.
Okay. Sweet. And we'll link everything in the show description. I appreciate you making the time for this, man. I'm going to stop the recording here in just a second. Don't go anywhere. We will connect here for a second. But to everybody that's listening, thank you so much. TC Talks with guests is going to one episode every 2 weeks. So it's going to be coming out twice a month. The rest of it, you're going to have to deal with my wonderful mug. I'm about to turn up the volume on that side, but interviews are going back to every other week, guys. So if you are listening to this, I have not forgot about you. We did not stop the podcast. It is not gone, right? We're just releasing interviews every 2 weeks. So thank you for everyone that has listened to this up to this point. Thank you for your most precious resource, which is, in my opinion, your attention. And we will see you next week.